Pleasure to follow a very thoughtful contribution from the honourable member for Stroud. A government, Madam Deputy Speaker, that was confident in what it was doing and confident it was pursuing the right ends would have had no difficulty in engaging with Parliament. In fact, it would have welcomed the opportunity. Yep. What we saw here instead was a government and a Prime Minister hiding from Parliament and from the democratic processes upon which good governance is built. They were forced into coming here and doing the right thing only because they were dragged before the courts, defeated and defeated again by campaigners holding up the principle of parliamentary democracy as something to which the government should bow. I too would like to take this opportunity to thank those democracy campaigners and single out Gina Miller in particular. The contribution they have made, as I've mentioned before, will have long-lasting effects on this issue and others. This bill, this few paragraphs, this poor excuse for legislation has been wrung out of the government, and its brevity is childish and disrespectful to this place, to the courts and to the people whose representatives come here on their behalf. The government should be ashamed. It suggests that there was no preparation done by the government in advance of the court judgment, not even when it was going back to appeal without much hope of success. That would smack of the same kind of arrogant laziness that marked the approach of David Cameron's government to the referendum. No preparation, just wing it and hope. Now, I am shocked from hearing the other members on the opposite side. They don't think the people should be entitled to know what the plan is. And in Scotland, we debated the details, as people like to mention the independence referendum very often, for 2 years. In this place, the government still doesn't know what the details are 2 months before kick-off. Now, a clear indication of the lack of preparation is the attitude the government has struck towards the devolved administrations, promising consultation and open dialogue, but delivering little, as has been said, almost nothing. The Scottish Government, which has put some thought into how to proceed, offered some constructive suggestions but had nothing in return other than a promise that the paper it presented would be read. No real engagement, no dialogue, no offer to discuss the negotiations as they go along, no offer of a seat at the negotiating table for Scottish ministers. And that's what a United Kingdom government would offer if it was serious about taking the devolved administrations with it, if it was confident of its ground. Now, Scotland and Wales have particular reasons to be anxious about what the UK government is doing in Europe, but Northern Ireland, despite the warm words of the honourable member for North Shropshire, has more reason than most to worry. The prospect of a return to a hard border is horrendous for communities and businesses in Northern Ireland, and any threat to the common travel area extremely serious. The government's attitude to date seems to be an approach that everything will be fine there, that Northern Ireland has always been treated as a special case by the EU and will be treated so again. That ignores the fact that it was treated as a special case while it was part of the EU. There are no guarantees that any EU institution or member state will feel like giving special dispensation to Northern Ireland. If there is a case to be made there, it may only be by the grace and goodwill of the Irish government that it is made. The UK is approaching Brexit in the same way that this bill was made, with hope, arrogance, swagger, disdain, and frankly nothing in its pockets. There is nothing on offer to our European partners, because the arrogant assumption of this government and of the Brexiteers around it is that the EU needs the UK more than the UK needs the EU. That London is the epicentre of world trade, and so the EU's financial institutions will come begging rather than firms move staff into the EU. Yes, of course.
I thank the member for giving way, and of course she's absolutely right to raise the prospect of the issue of the Irish border. If I was living in the Irish Republic, I'd be greatly concerned that my single largest trading partner, the USA, is not in the EU, and pretty soon my other single largest trading partner, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, will not be in the EU either. They should be getting out along with us.
Yes, indeed. I think that maintaining a close trading relationship with Northern Ireland will, of course, be in the best interests of the UK, whether it's in Europe or not, and it will certainly be with Europe as well. Returning to my point, with regard to the EU's financial institutions coming begging rather than firms moving staff into the EU, That is how it appears and how it will continue to appear, because this legislation, perhaps the most important constitutional legislation considered by this House in 40 years, has come without a white paper or an intelligible government position. It has come without a manifesto commitment and without preparation. This bill cannot be entrusted to carry the intent of this House, because this House does not know the intent of the government in leading negotiations with the 27 other EU states. What does the trading agreement it seeks look like? Does it give us full access to the market? What about movement of people between EU countries and the UK? We hear a constant barrage of taking back control of immigration, but nothing about how those controls will be exercised. We know neither the starting position nor the hoped-for end effects of the triggering of Article 50. We saw a 12-point supposed plan recently that frankly looked more like a wish list. In the great field of evidence-based policy-making, this bill does not figure. The devolved administrations on these islands have been operating without knowing what position the UK government is taking, each trying to find some kind of a satisfactory rescue for its people, all hampered by the UK government. Now, I should be astonished that the government will seek to take the UK out of the EU with this pitiful excuse for the dog eating its homework, and shocked that most of the loyal opposition is not opposing it, but I am not. We've come to expect nothing more from this clueless, rudderless government or an apparently fratricidal official opposition. The SNP will not support triggering Article 50. We believe that Scotland's place is in the EU, and we are here to speak up for Scotland's best interests. I hope enough members on the government benches and on the Labour benches have the character to join us to overturn this, but I am not holding my breath.